Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. I'm not sure what time of the day it is for you, but I'm Larry from Grace Healing. And I want to kind of take a deep dive into something that is pretty much overlooked in the spiritual process for many people, although many tribal cultures deal with it on a daily basis. And that's the process of exorcism. Um, Many people remember the stories like with Linda Blair and floating up off of the bed and all the drama that came with that, and the priest trying to bless with holy water and hold up crosses and all kinds of stuff. And I just want to kind of give people a simpler understanding. I've been called on many times from within, priests and ministers to go do exorcisms. And even the word exorcism makes people get their hackles up and get nervous and get concerned. That in itself opens people up to the potential harms within the process of bringing healing, bringing restoration, and bringing freedom from the spiritual influences that are governing the nature of the experience. And I would like to help people understand, this is part of the theme of, my children perish for the lack of knowledge. And I can only give you the experiences that I personally have encountered and show you that maybe it's not the way that Hollywood dramatizes it, or maybe it's not the way the church has perceived it, to foster up this intense force and I'm going to go take these spiritual things on, when that in itself separates you from God. And in all humility, I've come to situations where, again, I've been invited in by a number of priests to go do an exorcism over somebody. And in one case, down here in Boothby Harbor, there was an individual that was literally floating, or actually, I know some people are upset with that word being used that way, but actually floating off the ground, coughing up all sorts of bile, and many voices coming out of the individual, feminine voices, masculine voices, screaming, yelling, and all that stuff. And all I felt was this presence of divine love overtake me. I went over to him as he was on the floor, well, above the floor, and I kneeled down and I just gently took his head and pulled him to my thighs and just began to pray. And I heard this beautiful prayer that was Yahweh Elohim Abarakitlav Yoshnatiandro Avon Savoli Berekwan de la Viara Yeshua Albrene Kukoria Tandele Jerema, and his body just settled to the floor. His breathing normalized. The voices stopped. The spectacle ended. There was no more attention being given to the spiritual process that was governing this reaction within his body and his soul. There was only God. There was a peace, a quietness that entered in. And as I'm doing this, I'm praying and holding him and got his head there. And I look to my right and the priest's shoes aren't here anymore. And I look to my left and the other priest's shoes aren't here anymore. And I turn and I look, and there's the priest hiding behind the couch across the room. And I began to realize that they've become removed from their calling of service and moved to a place of administrative care over the possessions of the church. And what has happened is they've lost sight of how to perform the nature of these spiritual release moments, to give freedom to the spiritual process, because that's what I was feeling going on through me, was God's presence by surrender. I did not choose to be a prayer warrior. I chose to be a minister in love. And in doing so, that is total surrender to that which is God within me and God within the recipient. It's not about me doing something. It's not about me taking up an armor, picking up a machine gun, beating something with a Bible, pounding it down with a crucifix, pounding it and trying to wash it and cleanse it with holy water. It was just a matter of surrender into that which is God, to make God known in the moment. Therefore, nothing of a demonic nature could reside. And all things of a spiritual nature were loosed and freed from this individual as he was laying in my lap. And then he kind of like looks up at me and goes, "Where'd you come from?" And he knew me, and then he started talking with me. And then we just had this wonderful, calm, relaxed conversation without spectacle. I have many other stories like this, but I want to help you to understand, and again, peel away the lack of knowledge and give you understanding that if we continue to assume this role of prayer warrior, we have already separated ourselves from God by choosing war, the spirit of war, and the concept that we must be the aggressor to change something into blessing. And in all humility, I submit that that cannot work in order to engage the presence of God. We must relinquish this in total trust and know that there can be no harm that can be taken against us because we choose God over the spiritual situation that we've entered upon. So I hope this helps. And I look forward to the opportunity to begin to share more of this, the deeper delving and reaching into deeper understandings for people, because I've learned that through serving Christianity, through serving Muslims, through serving, anyone, Taoist, any practice of belief, Buddhists, I found that people are willing to take the surface level of instruction that will support their perspective and not go deep into the understanding that's available for them. So if a person was raised as a warrior, meaning fighting in battle, they assume that they were righteous before God and they need to take that with them further. And I'm trying to present for people the understanding that if we can become practiced in the surrender of that which is God, we would find that we would need not the sense of a warrior. We would be blessed to recognize transition without a spectacle, without a battle, without a, screaming, yelling, and fighting and battling and all this crazy stuff. It would just be a simple transition of love, and peace would enter in, unity, clarity, and God's presence would be known. Nothing of a demonic nature or of a spiritual nature can hold its form in the presence of God. It is about us becoming more practiced into surrender to that which is God without drama, but God through total surrender. That's my words for the day. I hope that you are blessed in all that you do, and feel free to reach out to us through gracehealing.org or look at the different episodes that are available on gracehealing.video and also the Facebook page, Grace Healing Community Facebook. Have a great day. Be blessed in your week. And I look forward to hearing from you for those who reach out. And we welcome your comments and your responses. We look forward to seeing them. Take care.